Chris back with the Mi 8 SE, and I have been using it for almost 3 days now, full time. There's been a lot of questions from the unboxing video. I will try to cover what I consider the common questions that arose in the comments section. Now, a lot of people want to know battery life, but first I just wanted to mention the bug that I'm seeing there. Well, not bug, you could say the stutters, the lag in the UI. It is only in full screen gestures. I've noticed when I use the on-screen gestures, but I prefer to use now on these phones full screen gesture mode. There's sometimes when you swiped up after leaving the phone for a while, there was a little bit of a stutter with those animations. It is nothing major. This is just software. It is definitely not the chipset. The Snapdragon 710 seems quite powerful for what it is, and an efficient chipset as well. And I just noticed that was really the only thing that's happening. And sometimes when you pull down notifications, that it just did again, instead of coming down nice and smoothly, it would just do a little bit of a stutter. So it's very minor that. Now, battery life is the thing that was popped up, I questioned quite a lot in the comments. Why haven't you shown battery life? But obviously I didn't have time to do a full cycle. This is now my second cycle and the best results yet. So almost 9 hours of time on the battery here. Now I did some what I would call moderate to heavy use of the phone. So it was on a lot. It was mostly on wireless though. So it was only about 30% on data when I did go out. And you can see here screen on time. I'll just bring that up close. Now that banding, you can see that's going down the screen right now. This is only on film that it's doing this. So me recording with my camera, it's something to do with my Sony a6300. It does not like AMOLED panels for some reason. And it's to do maybe with the pulse width modulation, the brightness control, there's why that's happening. So 7 hours and 48 minutes. That to me is a really, I'll just zoom in that because this is a screenshot of it, a screen capture. Very good time, I feel, for the size of this battery because it's 3,120 milliamp hours. It's not exactly the biggest battery there. So a good result. And you can see my use here. So a lot of YouTube. I was playing Lineage 2 Revolution, Final Fantasy, Chrome. These stats aren't correct, by the way. I don't know what's going on, but the battery use stats have been off for quite some time because I played PUBG a lot more than Chrome, so this actually should be above Chrome, but it's not. And when you looked at the on-screen time, it also wasn't correct either time of use. So quite heavy usage. What this translates into real-world use, 2 days. Easily 2 days for most people. Of course, this is going to vary from person to person, your own personal use. This is just a guide, the battery life as always. Now a few other comments were, what about the feel of the phone? I do like it. The squared off look, as I mentioned in the unboxing, it just feels a little bit better, I feel, than this model, the size. It's more comfortable in hand. I like the fact they haven't done this on the Mi 8. The Mi 8's got a normal power button and they've added a texture to the power button. I want to see more manufacturers do this, by the way, on the Mi 8 SE. And what that means that if it's late at night, instead of actually pressing, sometimes you press the volume down button instead of the power one, you can distinguish the difference now by touch, of course, which is really great. They've done this. You've got that little texture on there that just adds to it. And I like they've done that. And it does have a Sony Xperia look to it. And you can see it's covered with smudges and fingerprints because of the glass everywhere. And obviously, if you drop it, it will be a lot more prone to cracking and breaking than, say, an alloy back. If you've got the alloy metal back on this, it will just put a ding and little chips in it when you drop it. But this will just probably shatter everywhere and make it a bit of a mess, really. But it does have a nice build, a good feel to it. I like the fact the chin on the bottom's a little bit smaller. You can know my feelings about the notch. And well, it's just one of those things. It is there and yeah, we can't really do anything about it. So you don't get the notifications that'll show up in here like they do on, say, the OnePlus 6's notch, which is, of course, a lot smaller. So I believe Xiaomi's got a bit of work to do. I'd love to see a battery icon that will actually show the battery percent without having to swipe down. That's just a minor little complaint with that. Another common question was to do with FM radio. I know other budget models, well, you could say around this price range, on the Redmi Note series, you do have FM radio, but it seems, of course, that when they drop the 3.5mm headphone jack, that they can't seem to wire up or use headphones anymore for radio. I don't know if any other manufacturers have done that, but you cannot see an FM radio app in here. It is definitely not there. We do have their Xiao AI, so that's their AI program, and it's really only valid and useful to people who speak Chinese, or you live in China as well. I think you have to be Chinese and in China for that one there, but no FM radio. They did have some streaming FM radio app. Again, it was like a Chinese application, so I just uninstalled that, so that was gone. And there's someone also asking about getting rid of the bloatware. So there's an easier, quick way to do that I should have shown you guys on the channel, and you simply need to just pinch like this, of course, and then you can go and select all the bloatware apps. You can go along and tick all of them and simply then hit uninstall, and that will get rid of them in bulk. And now some of those apps you will not be able to uninstall, so they'll still be there after you run that command on there. The IR blaster or IR transmitter, you can see at the top, it's next to the microphone. There are a few questions about this. Yes, it's there, and you can use it to control using Mi Remote. There's an app on there so you can control your air conditioning if you've got a brand that supports it. So you can turn off your aircon, you can control various things with this. Something that the more premium Mi 8 model is lacking, which is kind of strange with Xiaomi's decision to not add it. This was another one that was also frequent. I saw it quite a few times in the comments of the unboxing video. Camera manual modes. Why did you not show them? Obviously, I can't show you every single thing. The video would be hours long, and I would probably also go insane. But there you go. So you've got white balance, focus control, shutter control, and ISO. And while I was shooting this video, it's the third time I've seen this now, but sometimes you will see this happen. So the application here, you can see this is always screen on, I think it's called. What's happened is another app has ended up overwriting the text of that icon. You can see. So you've got the app icon there, and then the text below is just juggled mess. You can't read it. So it's a very minor little UI bug. So that's why I say that Xiaomi clearly have some updates coming for this particular model, and they need to come out soon. It's just very minor things. There's nothing major like the whole phone freezing up. It's just little stutters, tiny little things like this. Now this was in the comments a few times. Run PUBG using what's called GFX tool. I ran that application, and then that has run PUBG here. You can see now with I set the highest settings, 1080p. So it's got it on the extreme frame rate option, so we can get an idea of the frame rate. And then it's on HD instead of smooth, because it auto-detected and would not let me go above the default settings, the lowest settings for the Snapdragon 710. But anyway, let's see how it performs and runs the game with these settings. So here it is with those high settings and the high frame rate. And you can see perfectly playable. Got a couple of bots here shooting at me. So the Snapdragon 710 can handle these higher settings. It's getting a little warm on the back. Now that is to be expected, of course. And the icons there, for example, to pick up that pack, very tiny because I have set it to that 1080p resolution, so it's not stretching out a little bit. So after 20 minutes of playing, it's reaching around 34, almost 35 degrees on the back. The front is around about the same temperature as well. And there were a lot of questions about the AMOLED panels. So there's lots of speculation in the comments of people saying that they've used cheap AMOLED panels. They've got second-rate ones from Samsung. We don't really know this is a fact, but me looking at the screen, there is no flaws with it. It's not a second. It is a premium panel. It does look good. It's a Super AMOLED panel. And right now you can see, looking at it straight on, you can hardly distinguish the difference between the black of the bezel and then the black of the screen itself here. The camera application's a good place to show this because it's displaying completely black. You've got no IPS bleed. The whites look a lot better. So the screen is much better, for example, than the Mi 6X or the Redmi Note 5 or the Redmi Note 5 Pro. Those models there, the 18:9 panels, the IPS ones, this is better. It's a step up. Now, what I'm just pointing out to people, I know it is being fussy, I know it's nitpicking, but I want people to be aware of it, because I myself would like to be aware of it, because I'm used to looking at, say, a Samsung panel when you don't see it, that when at certain angles, and especially in daylight, it's actually quite bad, the screen in daylight, the visibility. I have to give you a sample of that in the full review. But you do see then, at certain angles, that those black, steep blacks then shift to more like IPS-looking blacks, are more grayish. And it is very minor. This is no way near a deal breaker. Some people are commenting that it's a deal breaker. It is not. And you can see there with the Samsung panel, when that is off, that it doesn't tend to do it as much. You can see there, it looks a little bit darker. Again, very minor. I'm not trying to turn this into a big, massive issue, because it definitely is not. It's a very good screen that they have gone with. Alright, so that's just an update here, but it is looking very positive for this mobile phone. I can see no reason why I would not recommend this mobile. Apart from, yeah, it's all personal preference with the notch, the design. I do like, as I mentioned, the smaller size to it. Now, where it runs into cons, of course, is the obvious. There's no 3.5mm headphone jack, there's no micro SD card, and for European users that need that band 20, you just got to be aware of that this model doesn't have it, and I don't think it will ever get it. Storage also caps out at 64 gigabytes, which I think is a bit of an error. They should really add a 128 gigabyte model, considering the fact that we can't expand on the storage. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, is this better than the Mi Mix 6X? And in a way, it is. It's got a better screen. I like the design and build quality slightly better, but I believe that the Mi Mix 6X has a better camera set up on it. I believe it takes a slightly better photo, because at the moment we don't have any electronic image stabilization in 4K. That may change, but using Open Camera, you can see that I have installed, doesn't change anything, because Open Camera on the Mi 6X does. You can use that. You can get that electronic image stabilization, as I've shown with the Redmi Note 5, and you can get some really steady, good-looking footage. Okay, battery life, very, very similar between both of them. You've got the 660 and the 710. The 710 does seem marginally better, so that may be another reason to go for this model instead of the 6X. So I will have a camera comparison at some point between the Mi 6X and this model here, so we'll find out definitely once and for all which one produces the better pictures. At the moment, I found in my unboxing that the cameras are good. It has a very good sensor on it, the Sony IMX 363. The only problem with the camera performance I found with this one is it tended to oversaturate a little bit the photos. Now, a lot of people do actually like that. It creates maybe a pleasant looking photo for them. It just doesn't seem as accurate. It's not true to life, but it does offer, yes, very good image quality. Low light doesn't look to be that great because we are lacking the optical image stabilization, which of course the big brother model, the Mi 8, does have. That's got optical image stabilization for access, and it does seem to produce better low light photos. There may also be a camera comparison between the Mi 8 and the Mi 8 SE up and coming on the channel, so make sure you're subscribed and you've got notifications for future videos. Thank you so much for watching this update on the Mi 8 SE.